I don't work alone anymore, but back then I did. This was before the company changed policy, before they started sending two-man teams for certain buildings. At the time, I was just another delivery driver doing appliance drop-offs for property managers who didn't want to deal with tenants directly. Washers, fridges, ovens, in and out. Most of the time, the worst thing you dealt with was smell. Sometimes bugs. The job came in late afternoon. Last delivery of the day. Large apartment complex on the edge of the city. Older building, 5 floors. No elevator listed, which usually meant trouble. I almost skipped it, but the note said, urgent replacement. Unit cleared. Manager will provide access. That usually meant extra pay, so I took it. By the time I got there, it was already getting dark. The building looked tired. Not abandoned, just neglected. Peeling paint, flickering lights near the entrance, a broken intercom with wires sticking out. I parked near the loading area and grabbed the dolly. The manager was supposed to meet me, but she didn't. I waited about 5 minutes, then the main door buzzed open on its own. No voice, no confirmation, just a click. Hello. I called as I stepped inside. Nothing. The lobby smelled off. Not strong, just stale, like air that hadn't moved in a while. There was a desk near the entrance, empty. A clipboard sat on it with a few papers clipped underneath. The top page had my delivery info printed out, already signed. I stopped and looked closer. The signature wasn't mine, but it was in the delivery received section. That's weird, I muttered. I checked the unit number again. 4th floor. No elevator. I considered leaving and calling the office, but instead I grabbed the dolly and started up the stairs. The stairwell lights were motion activated. They flicked on one at a time as I moved, but too slowly, like they were struggling. By the time I reached the 4th floor, I was already breathing heavier than I should have been, not from the weight, but from the quiet. Most apartment buildings have noise. TVs, talking, footsteps. This one didn't. The hallway stretched long and narrow. Carpet stained in patches. Walls scuffed. A few doors slightly open, but no movement inside. The unit I needed was near the end. The door was open. That matched the note, but it still didn't feel right. I parked the dolly outside and stepped in. The smell hit first. Not rot. Not garbage. Metallic. I froze for a second, then kept going. The apartment was wrecked. Not messy, cabinets hanging open, drywall broken in chunks, furniture overturned, like something violent had happened recently. I stood in the doorway longer than I should have, waiting for someone to say something. No one did. Manager. I called nothing. I stepped further inside. The kitchen was where the appliance needed to go. The old fridge was still there, its door slightly open. I grabbed the handle and pulled. Something sticky stretched between the seal. I stopped and looked down. The floor beneath the fridge was dark. Not dirt, not shadow. A wide stain. I crouched slightly. Didn't touch it. Didn't need to. I knew what it was. I stood back up slowly. That's when I noticed something else. Footprints, leading out of the kitchen and across the living room, barefoot, and not fully dry. My chest tightened. Okay, I said quietly to myself, just drop the appliance and leave. I turned toward the hallway. That's when I heard something, a soft sound, from the bathroom, like water moving. I stared at the door. It was slightly open. Hello. I called again, no answer. But the sound stopped. That was worse. I took a step back, then another. My heel hit something. I looked down. A phone screen cracked. Still on, the camera app was open, facing upward, like it had been recording. I didn't pick it up. I didn't want to see what was on it. I turned toward the front door. That's when it shut, not slammed. Closed slowly. I stood there, staring at it. "All right," I said, louder now. "If someone's here, this isn't funny." Silence, then a faint shift behind me. From the hallway, I turned. The bathroom door was fully open now. I hadn't seen it move. Inside, the light was on, and the sink was running. A thin stream of water, clear and normal except for what was in it. Something dark, washing away slowly. My throat went dry. I stepped backward again. The floor under my shoe made a soft sound. Not carpet. Something wet. I didn't look down this time. Then the water shut off. Just like that. Silence again. Then, footsteps. Inside the bathroom, bare slow. I didn't wait. I grabbed the dolly and moved for the door. It didn't open. Locked. I pulled harder. Nothing. Behind me another step. Closer. I didn't turn around. I dropped the dolly and slammed my shoulder into the door. Once, twice, the third time. It gave. I stumbled into the hallway. Didn't stop moving. Didn't look back. I ran down the stairs. Skipping steps, nearly falling. The lights flickered on, too late, like they were following me. I reached the lobby and pushed through the front door. Cold air hit me, but I didn't stop until I got to my truck. I locked the doors and started the engine. Only then did I look up. Fourth floor, unit I had just left. Something moved behind the glass. A shape, standing still, watching. I couldn't make out a face, just the outline. Bare shoulders, head tilted slightly, like it was studying me. I drove. I didn't report it right away. I didn't know what to say. The next day, I checked the address. Again, there was a news article. 2 days. Old hostage situation. 1. Dead. Suspect. Killed. Case closed. But the photo attached to the article wasn't the person I saw in the window, and the time on my delivery receipt showed it was signed 6 hours before I arrived. I delivered pizzas for about a year and a half, mostly evening shifts. It was the usual routine: wrong addresses, people not answering their phones, dogs going crazy behind doors, and customers who acted surprised that delivery drivers expected tips. After a while, everything kind of blended together, except for one address. It wasn't far from the store, maybe 10 minutes out, in an older neighborhood where the houses sat farther apart and the streetlights didn't cover everything. The first time I went there, I didn't think anything of it. Just another delivery. The instructions were simple. Leave at door. Do not knock. Payment attached. That wasn't unusual. Some people just didn't want interaction. When I got there, the house looked normal enough. Small, one-story place. Lights off except for a dim one somewhere inside. The porch light wasn't on, which was annoying, but not rare. The pizza box had already been paid for, and sure enough, there was a check taped to the front door, along with a couple of coins wrapped in tape as a tip. I took the check, left the pizza, and went back to my car. Before I even started the engine, I glanced in the mirror and saw the door open just a crack. A hand reached out, pulled the pizza in, and the door shut immediately. No face, just a hand. I didn't think much of it at the time. Some people are just weird. She ordered again a few nights later. Same instructions, same setup, check taped to the door. No knocking, no contact. This time, I paid more attention. After I dropped the pizza, I walked back slower and watched from the corner of my eye. The door didn't open right away. It stayed closed long enough that I started to think maybe no one was actually there. Then, just as I reached my car, it opened again. Slightly wider this time, but still not enough to see inside clearly. Again, just a hand, quick, careful, like she was avoiding being seen. By the third delivery, it started to feel deliberate, not just preference, but control. That night, she forgot the check. I stood on the porch for a few seconds, staring at the door. No payment, no note, nothing. I wasn't supposed to leave food without payment, so I knocked. No answer. I rang the bell. Still nothing. I called the number on the order. It rang a few times, then went to voicemail. So I left. About 10 minutes later, my phone rang. Same number. I picked up. "Yeah, I saw you," a woman's voice said immediately, calm and not apologetic. "You didn't leave the pizza." I told her she hadn't left the check. There was a pause. "I did," she said. "Did you check properly?" I said I checked the door and there was nothing there. Another pause, slightly longer. "Sometimes it's at the back," she said. "You need to check both doors." I told her I had already checked. "You should check again," she said. "Look harder." There was something off about the way she said it. Not angry or defensive, just certain. I said I could come back. "Good," she replied, and hung up. When I got back, the check was there, taped neatly to the front door, exactly where I had looked before. I stood there for a second, staring at it, then reached out and touched the tape. It wasn't fresh. It felt like it had been there for a while. I took the check and left the pizza. This time, I didn't walk straight back to the car. I stepped off the porch and moved to the side of the house, just enough to keep the door in view without being directly in front of it. I waited. Nothing happened for almost a full minute. Then the door opened, wider than before, slowly. I leaned slightly, trying to see inside. At first I couldn't make out much, just darkness, then shapes, furniture maybe, and something else. Movement, not at the door, further back, like someone stepping away. The hand reached out again, grabbed the pizza, and pulled it inside. The door closed. I stood there longer than I should have, trying to process what I saw. It wasn't just her. I went back to the car and sat there for a moment, thinking about it, then shook it off. Could have been anything. A relative, a roommate. Didn't mean anything. But I started noticing small things after that. Her orders always came late, right before closing. Always the same items. Always paid by check. And the handwriting on the checks changed. Not drastically, but enough different pressure. Slight variations in letters, like different people writing the same name. The next time I delivered, I paid closer attention to the house itself. The windows were covered, not with curtains, but with something thicker. Boards, maybe. Hard to tell in the dark. The porch had multiple locks on the door, more than usual, at least 3. The door frame looked reinforced. That night, when I left the pizza, I heard something from inside, a dull thud, then another, like something hitting a wall. I froze and waited. Silence. Then the door opened just enough for the hand again. I went back to the car slower this time, listening. Nothing else. The next day, I asked one of the older drivers about the address. He frowned when I mentioned it. "You've been there?" he asked. I said, "Yeah. Just don't hang around there," he said. That was it. That didn't help. A few nights later, I got her order again. Same instructions, same setup, but this time something was different. The check was already there when I arrived, but the amount was higher than usual. Written underneath the signature in smaller letters was something new. Thank you for being patient." The handwriting didn't match the name, not even close. I stood there, staring at it, then noticed something else. The tape holding the check was layered, like something had been removed and replaced more than once. I felt that same uneasy feeling again, stronger this time. I placed the pizza down slowly, then stepped closer to the door, closer than I had before, and listened. At first, nothing, then a whisper. Not clear enough to understand, just sound. More than one voice, low, urgent. I stepped back immediately, heart starting to pick up. The whispering stopped. Then the door handle moved slightly, not opening, just testing. I didn't wait. I turned and walked quickly back to the car. This time, I didn't look back. I drove off faster than usual. About halfway down the street, I checked my mirror. The porch light was on now. I hadn't seen it turn on, and the door was open, fully open, but no one was standing there. Just darkness inside. I didn't go back after that. A week later, I heard something from another driver. The house I'd been delivering to was supposed to be vacant. The owner had died months ago. No listed tenants. No active utilities on record. Nothing. I didn't believe it at first, so I checked. The address was still in our system. Still placing orders. Still requesting the same instructions. Leave at door. Do not knock. I asked management about it. They said as long as payment cleared, it wasn't our problem. I didn't argue, but I made one decision after that. I never took that address again. A few weeks later, I was closing up one night when I checked the order history out of curiosity. The address was gone. No record, like it had been deleted. I asked around. No one remembered it, except me. That night, when I got home, there was something taped to my apartment door. A check with $2 in coins wrapped in tape. And underneath the name, in handwriting I didn't recognize, it said, "Next time, look harder." I used to do late-night courier runs for a private dispatch service that handled overflow work stuff bigger companies didn't want to deal with or couldn't verify fast enough. Most of it was simple, documents, small packages, sometimes electronics. The only rule they pushed harder than anything else was accuracy. Scan everything, log everything, get the signature. That night, my route looked normal until the last stop. The address didn't have a unit number, just a building name and a floor. The note said, "Delivered to occupant. Signature required. Do not return." Do not return wasn't standard. Usually, if someone wasn't there, you marked it and brought the package back. I almost skipped it, but the dispatcher had already assigned it directly to me. That usually meant someone was watching the completion. So I went to the building was in a commercial district that emptied out after 8 p.m. Offices, small companies, a few clinics. By the time I got there, most of the lights were off. Only a couple of floors were still lit. The entrance door was unlocked. Inside the lobby was quiet. No security guard. No receptionist. Just a desk with a sign-in sheet and a camera mounted above it. The sheet already had a few names on it from earlier in the day. I added mine out of habit. The elevator worked, but it was slow. Old system. It made a soft, grinding sound as it moved. The floor I needed was the 5th. When the doors opened, the hallway lights were on, but dimmer than the ones below. There were only 3 doors on that. Floor 2 were labeled offices. The 3rd had no label. That was mine. The door was slightly open. I knocked anyway. No answer. I pushed it open a little more. Delivery, I said. Still nothing. I stepped inside. The room was empty except for a desk and a chair. No computer, no paperwork, just a single overhead light and a camera mounted in the corner, pointed directly at the desk. I didn't like that. Hello. I said again, nothing. I checked the label on the package. Same address, same floor, no mistake. Then I noticed the clipboard on the desk. It had a delivery form attached, already filled out. The recipient line had a name I didn't recognize. The signature line underneath it had my name signed at it for a few seconds. The handwriting looked like mine, same style, same quick curve at the end. But I hadn't signed anything. I hadn't even taken the pen out yet. Okay, I muttered. That's not funny. The camera in the corner made a faint clicking sound, like it had just adjusted focus. I looked up at it. Who's here? I said no answer. I stepped closer to the desk, looked at the form again, under my signature. There was a timestamp 10 minutes earlier. That didn't make sense. I had just arrived. I checked my phone. The time matched. My chest tightened a little. I picked up the pen anyway. The instructions were clear. Signature required. Even if this was some kind of mistake, I needed to complete the delivery. I hesitated for a second, then added my initials next to the signature, just to mark it. Something felt wrong, but I couldn't explain it. As soon as I lifted the pen, I heard something behind me, a soft movement. Turned. The door I had come through was closed now. I was sure I hadn't closed it. I walked over and tried the handle. It didn't open. I pulled harder. Nothing. All right, I said, louder now. If someone's messing with me, open the door. No response. The overhead light flickered once, then steadied. I turned back toward the desk. The package was still in my hand. Where do you want this? I said, mostly to fill the silence. The camera clicked again. Then a voice came through a speaker I hadn't noticed before. Leave it on the desk. Calm, neutral, not loud. I froze for a second, then did what it said. Set the package down. Good, the voice said. I looked around again. Open the door. I said, not yet. That was enough to put my guard up. What do you mean, not yet? You completed the delivery, the voice said. Now we confirm. Confirm what? There was a pause then. Did you understand? Understand what? No answer. Instead, something changed. The camera in the corner tilted slightly. Not much, just enough to adjust its angle. Toward me, I stepped back. This isn't part of the job, I said. I'm leaving. I went back to the door and pulled again. Still locked behind me. The voice spoke again. You signed before you arrived. I didn't turn around. That's not possible. It already happened. I shook my head. No, it didn't. Check your log. That made me pause, slowly. I took out my scanner, scrolled through the recent entries. The last scan was already marked as completed. Time stamped 10 minutes before I got there. My stomach dropped. That's wrong, I said. You confirmed it, the voice replied. I just got here, not the first time. I turned back toward the room. What does that mean? The voice didn't answer directly. Instead, it said, look at the desk. I didn't want to, but I did. The clipboard was still there. The form hadn't changed, but something else had. There was another sheet underneath it, partially visible. I pulled it out. Another delivery form. Same address, same layout, different date. From 2 days earlier. Same recipient name, same signature, mine. My breathing slowed in a way that didn't feel normal, like my body was trying to stay calm for something it didn't understand. "I've never been here," I said. "Incorrect," the voice replied. "I would. Remember, you didn't leave." "That didn't make sense." "What?" "You didn't leave," the voice repeated. My grip tightened on the paper. "What are you talking about?" No response. Instead, I heard something else. Sound, faint dot, from somewhere deeper in the building, like a door opening, then closing. I looked toward the back of the room. There was another door I hadn't noticed before. No handle, just a seam in the wall. "Who else is here?" I asked. Silence, then the voice again. Softer this time. "Open it." I didn't move. "I'm not opening anything." "Open it," the voice repeated. I backed away instead, toward the main door, still locked. I hit it with my shoulder once. Nothing behind me. The other door made a soft click. It unlocked, slowly opened a few inches on its own. I didn't go near it. Didn't want to see what was on the other side. "Open the front door," I said. "You can leave," the voice replied. "Then unlock it." "It is unlocked." I turned immediately and grabbed the handle. This time, it moved. The door opened. I didn't look back. I walked out into the hallway, then straight to the elevator. Didn't run, didn't stop. The elevator took too long. I hit the stairs instead. 5 floors down without stopping, pushed out into the lobby. The sign-in sheet was still on the desk. My name was there, but now there were 2 entries. Same name, same handwriting, different times. I didn't stay to think about it. I left the building and got into my van, started the engine, checked my scanner again. The delivery was marked. Complete, no errors, no flags, just done. The next morning, I went back to the dispatch office, asked about the job, gave them the address. They looked it up. Nothing came up. No record of the building, no delivery request, no assignment. "You sure you've got the right place?" the dispatcher asked. I showed him the scan log. He frowned. "That ID doesn't exist in our system." That was the last time I asked. I stopped taking late manual deliveries after that. But a few days later, I noticed something. Every time I checked my completed jobs, that address was still there, always at the top, always marked as in progress, and the timestamp keeps updating, like I'm still inside that building, finishing the same delivery. I started doing courier work right after finishing my 2nd year of college. It wasn't anything official, just a subcontractor gig for a logistics company that handled overflow deliveries. The bigger companies didn't want to deal with medical packages, legal documents, time-sensitive stuff, the kind where you don't ask questions. Most days were boring. Drive, scan, drop, repeat. Sometimes signatures, sometimes not. The pay wasn't great, but it was consistent. And I liked being alone. That changed the night I got the manual route. That's what they called it when something didn't go through the normal system. No app route, no optimized stops, just a printed sheet and a barcode you had to scan manually. It didn't happen often, and when it did, drivers usually complained. I should have listened. I clocked in around 6:40 p.m, late shift. The warehouse was half empty. Just a few drivers loading vans and one supervisor behind the desk scrolling through something on his phone. He didn't look up when I walked in. "Got anything weird tonight?" I asked, grabbing a scanner. He tapped the desk twice without looking. "Check the side table. That's where they put the manual jobs." There was only one envelope sitting there, thick paper. No company logo. Inside was a single printed sheet. Address, no city. No postal code. Just coordinates and a handwritten note. Signature required. Deliver in person. Under that, a barcode sticker. That was it. Where is this? I asked. The supervisor finally looked up, squinting like I'd asked something obvious. Outskirts? System couldn't map it. That's not helpful. He shrugged. You want it or not? I hesitated for a second. Then I picked it up. Yeah, I'll take it. The package itself didn't match the paperwork. It wasn't labeled with the company system. No tracking ID. Just a plain brown box with clear tape and the same barcode sticker stuck on top. Medium weight. Maybe 5 or 6 kilos. When I scanned it, my device froze for a second. Then it beeped twice. I'd never heard it beep twice before. System glitch. I said out loud. The supervisor didn't respond. The drive started normal. Main roads, traffic, streetlights. Then the GPS started acting strange. It didn't give directions, just a straight line, no turns. No street names, just : proceed 12.6 km. That's when I should have turned back. Instead, I kept going. The road narrowed after about 20 minutes. Then the streetlights disappeared. Then the asphalt ended, gravel, no houses, no other cars. My phone lost signal around the same time. Not unusual in rural areas. Still, didn't like it. Asterisk, I checked the coordinates. Again, still ahead, so I kept driving. About 10 minutes later, I saw the building, not a house. Not really. More like a storage structure or an old maintenance facility. Concrete walls, flat roof, no windows on the front side, one light above a metal door. Flickering. I parked about 15 feet away, left the engine running, didn't get out. Immediately, something felt off. Not in a dramatic way, just wrong, like I'd driven somewhere I wasn't supposed to be. I grabbed the box anyway, walked up to the door, knocked, nothing, knocked again. Still nothing. Then, I noticed the camera. Small, mounted, above the light, pointed directly at me. A second later, I heard a click. The metal door unlocked, slowly opened inward. No one there, just darkness inside. Asterisk, hello. I called, no response. Stepped in. The inside didn't match the outside. It wasn't empty, it was organized, too organized. Too organized. Concrete floor, long hallway, fluorescent lights overhead and along the walls. Photos. At first, I thought they were random. Then I got closer and stopped. They weren't random. They were me, different days, different places. Outside my apartment, at a gas station, at work, even one inside my car. Taken through the windshield. My chest tightened. Okay, I muttered. This isn't funny. A speaker clicked somewhere above me. Then a voice. Calm, neutral. You're late. I froze. Who's there? No answer for a second. Then, step forward. I didn't move. I need a signature, I said. Then I'm leaving. Pause. Then a quiet sound, like a door locking. Behind me I turned. The entrance door had closed. No handle on the inside. My grip tightened on the box. Open the door. No. Simple. Flat. Look, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. This isn't how deliveries work. You accepted the job. Something about the way he said it felt rehearsed. I didn't agree to. This, you scanned the package. Silence. Looked back at the hallway. More photos, more angles that didn't make sense. How long have you been taking these? I asked. Long enough, I swallowed. What do you want? Another pause. Then, set the package down. Asterisk, I didn't. Not until you unlock the door. The lights flickered, then steadied. Set it down. Something in his tone changed. Still calm, but firmer. I placed the box on the floor, slowly. Double quotes good, he said. Now open it. That wasn't part of the job. I'm not supposed to open it. I hesitated, then crouched, pulled. The tape dot inside was another box, smaller dot also, unmarked. I opened that to dot inside. A camera, already recording, dot red, light on, pointed directly at me. My stomach dropped. Pick it up, he said. I didn't pick it up. I grabbed it, hands shaking. Turn it towards your face. I did. Good, he said. Now we start. I don't remember everything after that. Not clearly. He asked questions, personal ones, things no stranger should. No dot about my past, my relationships, mistakes. I thought no one noticed. Every time I hesitated, the lights flickered. The door behind me clicked, like a reminder. At some point, I realized something worse. Some of the photos on the wall weren't of me, not exactly. Same hallway, different people, different dates written underneath. That's when I understood. This wasn't random. I wasn't the first, and I wouldn't be the last. When it was over, the door unlocked, just like that. Leave the camera, he said. I didn't argue. I walked out. Got in the van, drove, DIDN, single quotes, T-stop, until I hit the main road. When I finally checked my phone, there was no delivery record, no route, no barcode. History, like it never happened. I went back to the warehouse the next day, asked about the job. The supervisor frowned. What job? I showed him the printed sheet. He stared at it, then shook his head. We don't use this format. That's when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. One message. A video file. I didn't open it. I already knew what it was, and I haven't taken a manual route since.